Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Liverpool Transfer Room live stream. Tonight, I'm joined by Jonathan and Paul, and we are waiting on one more. Seems that everyone likes to be fashionably late for my stream, so last week we had the same, but it's fine, it's fine. We've got some big topics, though, today. Finally, a bit of something to talk about because the last month has been on its arse. So, yeah, I'm excited for this one. It's all good. So I'll start with you, Jonathan. How are you today? Are you all good?
I'm good. I'm happy that it's not only talk about Southgate dropping Trent or just rumors. We finally have something to take our hands on, and have a good chat around.
It's always helpful when I've got to talk about Southgate, isn't it? You know, I'm kind of sick about myself. I want to have at least another. Well, hopefully after this summer, I won't have to talk about him ever again. But that's a different topic. Paul, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing very well, bud. This is not my favorite time of the year when pre-seasons it's just about to start. Nothing happened in the transfer windows. It's gonna get sometimes a little bit boring, but we watch some Euros just to pass the time. Hopefully, Cody and Van Dijk can put up a strong performance against your English team. So we'll see. But I'm doing okay.
That's fair. That's fair. Well, Tossing It has just turned up. I told you, Bash be late. It's typical. I'll add him 2 now. Just let me get the 4 on, and then we'll be good. Tossing, you turned up, mate. How are you? Oh,
you're on mute.
You're on mute, dude.
You're on mute. We can't hear you.
On mute.
Oh, sorry. I needed to get myself dinner and the delivery delayed. So I was rushing, hoping that I was going to get the food in time. It didn't come early because I needed strength to talk tonight. We have very interesting topics to talk about.
Exactly. I'm glad you're okay. Shame about your food, but I'm glad you're here, mate, anyway. Well, without further ado, we'll get straight to it then. First topic. Well, probably the biggest news of the day that FSG are in talks to buy another club, part of the multi-club model, that being Bordeaux. We've been speculating ever since Michael Edwards has come in charge. We've been speculating what type of club, where it would be from, what continents, how big would it be. But we finally got some solid news, solid negotiations. And from my understanding, that I reckon it'll be done in the next couple of weeks for various reasons I'll go into in a minute. But first of all, Jonathan, what was your initial reaction to it when the news come out?
FSG buying Bordeaux.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think it will be more a gain for the players that are younger, trying to break through, having a chance to go to another country or another club, which are under the same leadership to play, where they will probably try to implement the same style of football that we play in Liverpool. But for our club's sake, I think it will take a few years before we can see players from Bordeaux coming to us. But exciting to see they are expanding.
Fully agree. Like I say, it will take probably a few years because obviously as it stands, they've just been relegated due to financial issues, but they're hoping everything will be done and agreed, signed, sealed, delivered by the time the appeal goes through, which is it's my understanding, in a couple of weeks or so. And if it goes through, they'll be reinstated back into their second division, League 2, I should say. Just to answer a quick question from Jay, could Liverpool players still be loaned to Bordeaux? Yes, they can. We will be treated as apparently a separate entity. Either way, we can still send players out on loan. It's not like the same rules that have hit Man United and Nice. It won't. I don't know the ins and outs. I'm not a lawyer, but it's going to be a bit more like Brighton with their Belgian ownership of St. Galoy, I think it is. They've got freedom to send either way, so it's all good in that respect. Paul, similar question to you. I know it's not a player. I know you're crying out for a footballer to sign for the club. But it's good news, though. We finally started this multi-club model. This is what brought Michael Edwards to the club, back to the club, I should say. And I think going forward, even though it's immoral, I know a lot of people don't like the multi-club models, but you've got to adapt to survive. And I think it's only good news for Liverpool and FSG, obviously.
Yes, I think it makes a lot of sense, especially on the business side for LFC. I'm not so sure if we will see any benefit from this purchase in the first team at Liverpool within the first year or two. But nonetheless, there's abundance of talent in the French league. And you're talking about cheap, young talent. And the fact that Bordeaux, there has been a top club for a while. I know they've been languishing in the second division for the last couple of years, for a while, right? But no doubt they're still a big club. And if you want to harness the kind of cheap talent that's out there, then that's probably a good way to do it. I don't think we'd have any issues with the two clubs operating, because it's not like we'll be competing against each other. There's no chance of us meeting in the Europa League or Champions League because they are in League Two, right? So, and I think we'll be able to loan players to them, which is really a good thing. But more or less, what I'm looking for is the ability for us to identify those young, cheap talent, those 16, 17, 18-year-olds, rather than waiting on them to go to Brighton for $1 million and then buying them for 100 million. So from a business perspective, it makes a ton of sense. And plus, Michael Edwards needs something to do. So there's that as well.
Yeah. That is very true, very true. We unfortunately won't be in the same role at Liverpool as he was before. We're always going on about, Michael Edwards is back. It's all quiet because of Michael Edwards. Unfortunately, he isn't the man. He'll have a say, of course. Well, he's head of footballing operations, but this is the main reason he's called back. And like I say, it gives him something to do. And it's very exciting, really intriguing. 80 million euros is above 80 million euros with everything factored in, which to this day and age, a club for Bordeaux are quite historic. They've won the league in the past, they're the well-known, great academy, passionate fans. Of course, it's due to their financial calamities that have gone on there. But Tosin, like I say, same question to you. Bordeaux, I don't know if you know much about Bordeaux. I don't know a great deal, just bits and bobs. But when I first heard that they were the ones that come in, I immediately gone, yeah, that seems like a good fit. Like I said before, passionate fans, good academy. That symbolises that fits in with Liverpool quite well, don't you think?
Yeah, it's an interesting decision. Let me just put this out there so everybody knows I'm not a fan of multi-club ownership. I think it's a very touchy subject for me because I think most of the times the clubs are not always you are not always focused on the clubs as you should be. So, but it looks like that's what everybody's getting into now, and that's the path that FSG is choosing. And I think, given the talent that has come out of Bordeaux in recent years, I mean, you perhaps might say that it looks appealing. Just like Paul said, they've falling on hard times in recent years. So I think it's an interesting choice for me to go with Bordeaux, but there are a lot of French clubs that you look at with the potential to be a force in Europe or to be a good feeder club in Europe. And I think Girondins de Bordeaux is one such a good club. They have track record of some talented players. They've also had some Nigerian players in the past. Some of them not so good, and since they got relegated, they've tried to get back to Ligue 1, but it's been very difficult. So I think in the long run, they will come back to Ligue 1. Maybe they play in the Europa League at some point, but it will be a good place for Liverpool to send talent to, especially young stars. And you avoid situations like what we're currently having with Sepp van der Berg, where he's in two minds, says the club does not trust him. So maybe that way, that you go and get first team experience. It's easier to control the narrative a bit more with that as well. So as much as I'm not a fan of it, I see the business and I see the financial side of it, because it also makes things a bit complicated for us as youth coaches, because then you start asking yourself questions about if I train this kid, and one of the joys is to see him play for the first team of the football club. So I think for me it's very important that if we're going to do it, we have to do it right. And just like Paul also said, good opportunity as well for one of my favorite persons in sports. I'm so happy he's back now in the club, to get his hands dirty and get busy as well.
That's fair, and I will state that. And from a moral point of view, I don't agree with the multi-club model. I never have done, never will in that respect. But as I said before, business isn't about morals, unfortunately. Otherwise, there would be a better place. But it's about adapting and surviving. And as we know, Liverpool don't have the money that we would like to think we have in terms of we can throw it around a bit like Man City, Chelsea, and all them. We are a bit more lenient with our spending, a bit more, don't know what the actual word is, but a bit more wise in respects, a bit more choosy as such. So I think this type of thing where you can unearth the next big thing, especially with a lot of African players moving into France, going through the academies, and a player like Tchouameni, who I think went through the Bordeaux Academy. Correct me if I'm wrong on that one, but as far as I know, it was Tchouameni who went through that. That's their last big star. Things like that you've got to think about going forward. But another example of the City football group is just an absolute disgrace what they're doing to all the clubs. Girona is going to get stripped apart over the next couple of years. Is it FC Troyes? I think it's Troyes in France. They're all protesting against the City one. Yeah, exactly. They're all the ones that we don't want to be part of. We don't want anything to be like that. We want to run both as well as we physically can. And then obviously there's some benefit between both clubs going forward, swapping players, loaning players between clubs, as long as the investment is there for both sides and both clubs can grow, especially with the moments with Bordeaux being in a right mess, we can pull them out of that and make them go back, hopefully, into Ligue 1 again. I think it's just great in this moment for all rounds. Of course, there's always going to be skepticism from Bordeaux fans because you can see, like I said before, from Troyes with their current owners, you fully understand. So, yeah, I think overall I'm happy with it. And now he's decided to go on the phone. I'll mute him for a second. But yeah, before we get into the second topic, just
tell him to
remind everyone to like and subscribe, of course.
Maybe you should mute Tosin.
Tosin, you need to mute your mic when you're on the phone, bro.
Can you mute him?
Try, man.
No, man.
Yeah, I can.
Okay.
If he wants to. Right, anyway, we're there.
Mm-hmm.
Second one. We're mentioning about, now Jonathan's ran off. No, he's here.
No, I just let my cat in the window. I just let the cat in the window.
Mm.
I'm fully focused
honestly.
From now.
And now we've lost Tosin all over, honestly. Anyway, someone's mentioning straight away in the chat. Can we talk incoming players? Well, there is a transfer on the verge of finalization. Okay, it might not be a first-team player, and so people might roll their eyes at the prospect. But from my understanding, I tried to pronounce his name. Rio, what's his name? Rio Ngumoha. And then tell you in a sec. Basically, the Chelsea prospects. Rio Ngumoha, that's the one.
Ngumoha, yeah.
Ngumoha. That's that's the one. Rio Ngumoha looks like he's close to finalizing his deal across to Liverpool FC. I think this is a bigger deal than people actually realize.
I agree.
Overall, this kid has been rated by a lot of scouts, a lot of people who watch academy football. I know that the average fan, like myself, like a lot of others who just watch the first team most of the time, will sit there and go, he's 15. It reminds me of that Michael Owen meme where he's like, oh, he's only 13. Okay, he's 15 in this instance. It just doesn't get you off your seat. You're not interested. But when you hear all these reviews, all these people going raving and going mad, why isn't Chelsea letting him go? And then you look into him. He's one of the top 3 highest scoring, highest rated kids statistically, I don't mean goals and assists, I mean on performance charts overall in the country, that's massive. And the fact that Chelsea have messed up big time, they've offered him more money, as Chelsea normally do. They've offered him longer contracts, all this stuff, but he still said no. Now, Jonathan, is this the start of the consequences of Chelsea's reckless planning and spending? Or is this more of a sign of Jurgen Klopp's legacy of Liverpool of giving players a pathway to the first team?
I think it's a bit of mix of both. Chelsea are investing in young players for the first team, and obviously it will be harder to break into the first team from the academy. And I think it's more attractive to play for Liverpool because you have that chance to break into the first team with the appointment of Arne, who said to the media that if you're good enough, you're gonna play, and is clearly a big name in the academy world, because even Liverpool are restructuring their academy, so the signing will fit with their theory of signing players that young. So excited to see him when he's allowed to play for the first team. Maybe we'll get some cup games in a year or two. But the few YouTube clips I've seen of him, he looks good to be 15. Really good.
That's fair points. I think since the whole Brexit thing went through, signing British talent has been a big deal for a lot of Premier League clubs. The value of them skyrocketed. It's always been high anyway, but it's got even more drastic since that's all gone through and all went down. But this guy's a left winger, very fast, scores a lot of goals. He's played in the under-21s at the age of 15. That says a lot already. Paul, similar question to you. Which one do you think it's more of? Do you think this is more towards, like, say, what Jurgen left behind, the fact that Jadon Dans, McConnell, to just name a couple, got into their first team? Yes, you can argue, oh, it's there because of injuries. But a lot of other clubs have just gone, I want an emergency loan to cover that position. We trusted the academy, and we have done over the last couple of years, especially. And they filled in and done a job and excelled. And, well, we won a trophy basically with the kids on the pitch and Van Dijk. Is it more of that, or is it more Chelsea's reckless, like, say, spending or planning?
Well, obviously, Liverpool is an attractive club for young aspiring talents. But, and on the face of it, you could say that Chelsea's strategy of trying to harvest the best young teenage talent from across the world, on the face of it, it may look to be a proper and proper strategy, but it is backfiring, because one, when you're having too many players, you're having about dozens, they're starting to get in their way, right? And players are smart, when you imagine you're a 15, 16-year-old talent and you brand this guy from Brazil, this guy from South America, this guy all over the place. There comes a point where you're going to say, you know what? The chance of me breaking out here is very limited. I want to go somewhere else. And let me name a couple of players and you tell me what they have in common. Jamal Musiala, Mo Salah, Kevin De Bruyne, Nathan Ake, this will surprise you, and Declan Rice. These are the five top players in world football. All of these players at some point in their career were at Chelsea. Declan Rice left Chelsea Youth Academy, I think it was 14, 15 for West Ham. Nathan Ake was with Chelsea, went out on loan. I'm not sure if he played for the first team, but he's one of the best players right now at Man City. Jamal Musiala left Chelsea at the same age this young guy is, at 16, because he just didn't see a path forward. And he has been a star at Bayern Munich, one of the best players in the world right now. And I don't need to tell you anything about Mo Salah or Kevin De Bruyne. So the point I'm making is that Chelsea clearly has a problem. They are just trying to buy everybody without the proper resources, the proper thought process in how to get the best out of these talents. And they're going to continue to see these talents go out, leave, and embarrass them by becoming world stars at other clubs, which is what we're hoping for this guy. Obviously, I don't know much about this guy. I never heard about him until a few days ago, I'm being honest, right? Because I really don't follow 15 or 16-year-old young players, you know. But since then, he seems to be a real talent, you know. And the fact that Liverpool is so anxious to get him, then that alone would tell me that the guy is some talent. But when you're sitting there as a 15, 16-year-old and you see they're spending 40 million on this Brazilian quote unquote wonder kid who has done nothing yet in his career, I can understand why he wants to leave. Who wouldn't? So I'm just hoping that this is just another Musiala that leaves at 16 and becomes a world star at Liverpool. Time will tell, but obviously Chelsea's strategy is going to backfire. And because they're doing this too, it's also affecting their first team because they're not winning. Because when you have 52 players and you need to pick 11, that must be a nightmare. Even on the training pitch, I can't imagine a manager out there with 40 or 52 players. It just doesn't make sense. But who am I to tell them what to do?
Michael Olise will left the academy.
Exactly. We should just leave them to it anyway. I know we've got to feel partly sorry for the players, but they should know now what they're walking into. It is just baffling. He's running it like an NFL club, franchise. Yep. We're sitting here. We know a bit about football. It seems to know a bit more than Buddy Todd Bowley does about any sort of football because it is just insane. If you're going there signing an 8-year contract and then the following summer they're signing 3 or 4 players in your bloody position, it's like, dear. So
plus,
I believe
another thing about our Chelsea, Dean, is that I think that Chelsea is just one of those team who are just so jealous. They just want to have every player, even if they don't have a need for that player. Because when you have Enzo Fernandez and you pay £100 million for Caicedo, why did you need to go and spend another £50 million on Romeo Lavia? There is no way that Lavia, Caicedo, and Enzo can play in the same 11. Because, are you going to spend £55 million on Lavia to back up Caicedo is £100 million? How does that make sense? And then you are signing the guy from, what's his name? From Leicester. Where is he going to play?
Hall, yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, so I just don't understand. I just don't get it.
I say the best part about this is they got 50 players on their books as it stands. 50. That's including players coming back off loan. Lukaku still plays for them, for God's sake. So they're called coming back. That training ground, they can't fit him in the dressing room anymore. They're in the hallway. Mm-hmm. There's that many of them. They've just sacked a manager who, yes, okay, hasn't won a lot. He's won the French league, whatever, but he's still an experienced manager, can handle players. They just brought the Leicester manager in. He's only been a manager for 1 year. So all these young players coming in with no experience, so they've got 50 of them. And now they're putting a younger manager in who's got probably even less experience in football than they have, and he won't know what he's doing. I'd say we just should sit here and laugh, but it just boggles the brain that much. Mm-hmm. What the hell? So I don't blame this young kid from getting the hell out of there and going to a club that actually knows what it's doing. Simple as that. Tosin, you've missed the madness briefly. We're on about the young lad we're signing from Chelsea, the 15-year-old Rio. Just a quick one before we change topics. What do you think about this young kid? I know we probably don't know too much about him. We've been linked with him for 2 days. That's all we've seen. But we're on about the mess that Chelsea are in. Is this the start of it? Start of the consequences? Or is this more down to how well Liverpool have run the academy?
I've done mute.
You're on mute.
I had to change the shirt because I looked at my shirt and I realized, oh my days, what am I doing? So I had to quickly change that. Quickly, guys, I would be honest. I don't know a lot about the kid, but I have a lot of friends who've talked about the kid and who like him. And apparently, some say he's the next Jamal Musiala. It was very ironic that Paul made those comparisons, but I've heard a lot of people say he's the next Jamal Musiala. I've heard a lot of people talk about how he's wanted Chelsea to commit to him for a very long time, and they just weren't ready to commit to him. Some of his people think he's ready to play in the first team. Um, I don't think Chelsea thought so, and I think because of dysfunction that football club is in, come on, they're trying to build an NFL roster. They have 53 players on their books, so they don't have time for a 15-year-old kid who's thinking about how his career is going to move forward. I think at talent level, basic talent level, you think this is a good signing. Let's see what he does with Slot's kids now, because it's no longer Klopp's kids. It used to be Klopp's kids, and you always knew that if it was Jurgen that was there, he was going to get the chance. So you have to hope that maybe Arne gives some of these kids a chance at some point during the season, because that's what we are as Liverpool. We can't lose sight of that. We give the kids a chance. That's how Trent Alexander-Arnold, Steven Gerrard, we had Robinson at some point. We had all the kids, Flanagan. We're giving kids a chance a lot. So you imagine that at some point he's going to get his chance in the first team if it does come for him and if he continues to show himself. You've seen the likes of Jayden Dance get their opportunity. Ben Woodburn got his opportunity. A lot of these kids will get their chance. They will get a shot, a fair crack at it, especially if they're coming through the academy door at Liverpool. So it makes a lot of sense for the academy guys. They'll get to groom him and see where it goes as far as he's concerned. And I think that's what it is for me. I honestly don't care what Chelsea want to do. I don't give... it's their business. If they like, they build out the entire NFL roster and they implode. I mean, that means 6 more points for us every season. We know that we're going to beat them home and away, and we don't get to worry about them. They're no longer in the top 4. So, it's good for us anyway. But in terms of the player talent level, I've seen a lot of good things about him. And 2 days ago, when I saw the links, I had questions myself, but given the previous knowledge that I had about him, I just took a player with good footwork, can use the small spaces. We had Dominic Solanke from Chelsea's academy as well, and look what he's done. We sold him for big money. Now we will even benefit the sell-on clause from that player as well. So, it makes perfect sense to me for a player that people are saying has a high upside.
Yeah, all your points are absolutely fair and valid, mate. I fully agree with you. Just a couple more points before we move on to the next one. Liverpool are going to break their wage structure at academy level to sign this kid. We don't normally do that for obvious reasons. That's how highly they rate this kid. And secondly, no pressure on the lad, of course. Like I said, we don't know much about him. Well, there was a 16-year-old lad who's about to start in a semi-final of a major tournament in about half an hour for his country. So we may not get excited about 15-year-olds, but you never know. You just never know. In a couple of years' time, he might be lining up, the main man. You just don't know. But anyway, guys, if there's anyone any questions in the comments, put them in there. We'll get round to them at the end. We'll try and get them all answered for you. Don't hesitate. Just put them straight in there.
Before we move on, Dean.
Third topic, guys. Go on.
Yeah, before you move on, if you stop and think about it, and let's assume that everything goes well for Liverpool, in another year or two, you look at the squad, you look at talents like Kumas, Jayden Dance, Trey, what's his name, Nayoni? Am I saying this right? Nayoni. And this kid. We have not bought any Brazilian wonder kid for 40 million euros. But we have some serious, talented young players in the pipeline. So I am very excited for the next few years, especially with Slot, with his reputation for developing young talent. Man, I think we're going to be fine.
Yeah, I agree. Like the club, the healthy state the club's in is phenomenal. We've got one of the best academies in Europe right now. It's like a machine. It just keeps pumping out talent after talent. We think, well, that's it now. No more now for another 10 years. And then somebody else appears. Just credit to the academy staff and regime. And hopefully it just keeps going. But yeah, the third topic, Adeyemi from Borussia Dortmund was linked by Sky Germany last night. Obviously, if you don't know him, you should know him. Left winger, can play on the right-hand side. He's 22. Questionable finishing here and there, but very fast. Decent dribbler. But I'm not making direct comparisons. And I know a certain right winger at Liverpool was like that when he was at Chelsea and when he first joined Roma. So 25 million is the rumoured requested price. Jonathan, when Adeyemi was first linked last night, if you saw it or not, does it scream, oh, go on then, I'll have him? Or does it make you go, no, thank you?
Mixed feelings. If it would have been before he went to Dortmund, I would have said, throw the money, throw the whole kitchen sink, just get him in the club. But you have seen now his performances are very up and down. He can have fantastic games, do things on his own, or he could barely pass the ball to a teammate or get around his man. Depends all on the price. And if he can deliver on the right, we have a Mo replacement. I would love it to start to have a transfer saga around him, just to have something. But if it's 70, 80 million plus, don't use the money. Save it and spend it on some other players that are more clinical in front of goal and more consistent.
Yeah, that's really. Yeah, that's fair. There's been some big question marks about his finishing. I remember watching the Champions League final and he was in on goal and he just completely fluffed his lines. I loved him at Salzburg he was at before he went to Dortmund. He looked very exciting, very big prospect, and it just hasn't happened for him at Dortmund, whether that's the wrong environment, multiple different managers, or it just sometimes it just doesn't work out for the club. But Paul, would you brand this as an opportunistic signing? Like, he's 22, he's only young, he could play on either side. Isn't that what Liverpool's about? I know we want potentially the next Mo Salah, or like, you know, the heir to what he is. So basically someone who's going to be around for a long time, but they are few and far between. We're quite fortunate with Mane and Salah. Don't you think this is a risk worth taking, or do you think there's better options out there for the price? You have to bear that in mind. He was only 22 to 25 million.
When I heard about the link to Liverpool a few days ago, I started to see serious links. My initial thought was, why? You know, there are better options out there. We don't need this guy, you know. I've seen him for Dortmund this past season, and I've not seen a game where, you know, he actually says, you know, kind of raised my eyebrows in terms of his performances. But then the more I think about it, if the price is run about at 25 million euros as rumored, it might be worth a punch, you know. Especially if Mo Salah is going to commit to us for another 2 years, which I think he might. And because the way, I mean, the prices of players just keep on increasing year after year after year. So if it's like 40, 50 million, no, because you could get other players that are more ready or capable at that price range. But for 22-year-old guy with some talent, left-footed, is a winger, is quick, right? For 25 million, there is kind of hard to see, you know, any negative at that price. If we think he's talented enough to take over from Mo Salah in 2-3 years, well, I guess time will tell. If it doesn't pan out and you move him on, I don't think it will be a financial loss, because you should be able to get back at least that for him. So if the price is right, which clearly it is, and he decided that he wants to come, knowing that he will not be a starter, but he will be the understudy to Mo Salah, there'll be a lot of minutes for him to get, because we are playing 2 domestic cups. You know, we're playing probably close to 60 games as a team. And of course, Salah at his age probably won't want to play more than 35, 38 games, maybe 40 at the most. So there'll be 20 games in which, you know, he'll have some minutes plus off the bench. So if we can sell him that, you know, that project, and he agrees to it and wants to come and work for us at that price, it might be worth it. it doesn't really raise my blood pressure, that much to say, yes, go get him. But if you get him for 25 million euros, I wouldn't complain.
Yeah, you mentioned about not raising your blood pressure. This is the thing about Liverpool. Bar, Van Dijk, Alisson. I say Szoboszlai. I don't think many Liverpool signings have really raised the blood pressure, have they? Think of Robertson. Think of Salah at the time. You weren't like dead excited for it. Mane was the same. They just turned out to be really good footballers in the end. The system worked really well and made them really good footballers. But it is a tough one. I can see what you mean, because we'll look at him from the Dortmund perspective, whereas Salah and Mane were still performing quite well for their clubs. Adeyemi isn't.
Yeah, I wasn't.
Justin, what's your thoughts on Adeyemi? Do you think? Go on, Paul. Go on quickly.
Yeah. When we signed Diego Jota, I was against that signing. I was saying, why are we wasting this money? This guy is so bang average, right? And you see, it turns out to be more than decent, a decent signing. So you have to just trust the scouts.
Exactly. This is why we have sporting directors. That's why we have data analysts. The guys that go out there and look at a player in a different light than how we would. We look at it the eye test. Oh, how many goals they scored? How many assists have they got? Do they look like a good player? They look at it completely different aspects. And Liverpool is the prime example of that. All them players on that pitch, bar maybe Joe Gomez, because he was just a bargain at the time. All of them were literally data analyst signings, mixed obviously with Jurgen as well. So we can't complain from that aspect of it anyway. But Tosin, first off, what are your thoughts on Adeyemi? If you don't like him, is there anybody out there you would like to sign a young forward?
I'll be honest with you, Dean. I love the signing. I think it's perfect. I beg to disagree with Paul. I think it's a perfect signing. I think there's no Liverpool signing that's more Liverpool than Karim Adeyemi's signing, because I think he's played in a system that employs the counter press, so that's not going to be an issue for him. He's not going to come in and start learning the concepts. He's got speed, and just like Paul said, I think if he comes in first year or two and he's got to understudy Mo, you cannot get another Mo Salah. That's just the reality. How many wide forwards, right wingers can produce at Mo Salah's level? If you look at Bukayo Saka, for instance, who plays for Arsenal, how many goals he got last season? Let's go to Man City, the boy who's playing the right wing for them. How many goals has he got last season? You go to Man United, the right wingers at those football clubs. How many goals they got? So as much as I want to look at it from an output level, I don't like data, guys. In my coaching experience, in my short coaching experience, I don't like data. I always think it takes the joy out of coaching the raw kids and seeing the talent and enjoying it. But you've got to use the data sometimes, because it doesn't lie and it shows patterns of consistency. I thought last season was bad for him. I was disappointed. I expected more from him, obviously. Like Paul said, in the Champions League final, there were moments you sort of thought, okay, you need to keep your head. But those are the things he will learn if you coach him right, and if he finds himself in an environment like, I think, at Liverpool Football Club. I think outside of the later years of Rafa Benitez's reign, Liverpool Football Club has got one of the best coaching situations in terms of the team of coaches that arrived there. Maybe apart from the poor Hodgson years where, but even Roy Hodgson had a good complement of assistants and backroom staff with him there as well. So I think, and also at developmental level, we have coaches who place a lot of emphasis on development. So I think that can be coached in terms of finishing, but he has the raw instinct. He has a good feel of the game. He's good in 1v1 situations, can run in behind defenses. He will be a good replacement, especially when there's nobody that plays with Trent Alexander-Arnold and does not go higher a level. That's my belief. Everyone can disagree, but if you play, I believe Trent has the ability to elevate the level of his teammates. So, he's not playing with Trent at Dortmund. He's not playing with Robertson at Dortmund. He's not playing with the guys that he's not playing with our guys there. So if he comes in for 25 million quid, I think that would be an absolute bargain. And what if he gets to understudy Mo as well for a bit of a time?
I think you're 100% right, especially in regards to players do elevate other players. You do have many occasions where an average player goes into a great team and they come out looking like a legend, a world-class player. And then you can have a really, really, an amazing player, one of the best in the world, go to an average team and sometimes they might outshine the rest, but overall they still don't look anywhere near what they would be normally. Just to add some points, Justin, in the chat, just to mention about you saying about the club, Bordeaux being bought, we're going to basically buy Bordeaux. We're not signing any players. That money will not come from Liverpool Football Club. FSG don't put any money into Liverpool Football Club. We all know this by now. We generate our own money. We use our own money. They do their own thing. It's nothing in regards to us. I understand the skepticism, the negativity around transfers at the moment. Arsenal, bar the sense that they look like they might sign. Okay, I wish Liverpool signed him. Very good player. But as of now, they've officially signed nobody. Man City officially signed nobody. Chelsea are a wreck, whatever. A lot of top clubs have not signed anybody at the moment. This is one of the most awkward summers for any sporting director to navigate. International competitions, Olympics, and of course, we've had to have a new structure implemented, a new manager, and he wants to assess the squad. I know it sucks. Right now, we all want transfers. We all want to be excited. But just wait till the end of the summer. And if nothing happens, we'll all have our own say. We'll see what happens. I'm hopeful of a couple of signings. I'm not expecting 4 or 5, 6. That's not going to happen. 2 or 3, maximum of 4 would be amazing. That's all I'll say in regards to that. But like I say, if you have a question direct to any of us on the panel, myself or the guests, please put it in the comments. I'll get to it. Anyway, fourth and final topic. Euro. I know it's been Euro. Has been mentioned many a time over the last few months. He's been linked to every club under the sun. The 18-year-old from Lille. We all know he's going to Madrid. That will happen. It will be Madrid. But Man United have decided to throw a spanner in the works. They've decided to go up to Lille and go, I'll use you 60 million quid or 55 million quid, whatever it is. They've agreed to it. Now, Man United aren't exactly the best run club in the world. I'm not denying that at all. But under this new ownership, they seem to have a bit of common sense again. A little bit, just a tiny bit. Surely they've been given a hint of an inkling that he would like to go to the Premier League or Man United for them to physically offer the deal. I mentioned this to Jonathan before we come live. A lot of things go into a bid. It's not just like write it down on a piece of paper, send it by email. It's not that simple. A lot of things go into it. Surely there's an inkling of it that something could happen. I'm not saying Liverpool will go and do it because my brain is saying, well, if that's the case, Liverpool will offer the money and then go again. Jay's mentioned in the chat that it's Casado style all over again. Could be true, but I think he wants Madrid. But is something not going right? Is this why United have offered the money? Jonathan, I don't know what your take is on it. It is a bit baffling. We are just waiting for him to go Madrid. But something seems to be creaking, surely. Something... I don't know. What's your take on it?
I for sure hope United don't get him. Let me put that straight. But they wouldn't have sent in a formal bid if they didn't have a feeling he might starting to get frustrated by Lille. Maybe just wants out and know, okay, I don't get Madrid now, but in a few years I could push for a new transfer to Madrid. So if he's getting frustrated with Lille and how Lille is handling the situation with Real Madrid, he could maybe sign for United to get that transfer in 4 or 5 years. I wouldn't be surprised because he seems very desperate to get out if his already saying, hey, I'm leaving next year. Or I want to leave this season as well. But
Yeah,
I hope they put a bid. See United now sending a formal bid. I have woken up with accepted bids and contract talks before from Liverpool, but if I see Fabrizio put a here we go on Euro to Manchester, I might deactivate my account.
That's fair. I think we won't be far behind you at all there, mate. Paul, just to move it away from Euros slightly, our centre-back situation is quite intriguing. We've got 4 centre-backs as it stands, and of course then we've got Sepp van der Berg has just returned. He's been reported to have faith, or the slots reported to have faith in, to give him a chance. It's quite awkward now. Van Dijk's obviously, regardless of contracts, stays. Then you've got Konate, injury prone, but arguably probably just second choice. Then you'd probably say Kwanzaa's third choice, can play left side or right side. Gomez can cover either flank as well as playing centre back, but he wants game time. He's going to start wanting game time to get in the England squad when Southgate eventually leaves. And then Van der Berg's a whole different entity. If we sign another centre back, which I do personally think we should, are they going to get the game time? If not, are they going to be happy about it?
It's going to be tough, right? Because even though Joe Gomez has been relegated to basically backup fullbacks on either flank, I still believe that Joe Gomez's best position is a centre back. That partnership with Van Dijk a few years ago was really a standout year for him. So it's just kind of strange that he has not even been given a game or two at centre back for us. Now, obviously, there is Konate, and a lot of us believe that Kwanzaa is the future. So, is there another space for centre back? Yes. I mean, Van Dijk is the best in the world, but he's 33. We have 60 games a year. He can't play more than 35, 40. I would suggest, right? So I could see why the club was interested in Euro, even though I think it's way past time to move on away from this guy. Because one, he's 18. Of course, he's talented, but he hasn't yet achieved anything. And he's nowhere near the French team. And if he was not good as a wonder kid, an 18-year-old wonder kid from Brazil or Spain would be with the national team. Spain right winger is 16, right? So I'm not saying he's not talented, but I am not sure I would be comfortable, plunking out 50 million euros on an 18-year-old centre-back who hasn't really done anything other than show talent, right? Furthermore, the fact that he doesn't want to play for any other team other than Madrid. Why are we wasting time? As to our centre-back situation, I would love us to sign, and I've said this many, many times, so we're not going to surprise you, we need a left-footed centre-back, right? But that left-footed centre-back must be able to can play left-back as well, because that is the trend that's going on right now. City does it every day. Their two left backs are between Nathan Ake or Guardiola. Even if you look at the Dutch national team, Ake is at left back and he's a centre back, and the backup left back is the guy from Tottenham, Van der Ven, right? Now, especially if you have Trent at the right back, which I think that's where he's going to play, inverting into midfield from right back, a lot of time we'll be kind of just, in that back three formation with Trent over there. So I think we are better served by having a left-footed centre-back that can cover on that side of the pitch as left back because we have 5 centre-back or maybe 6, including if you count Vandenberg and our good friend that's been sold for 4 million. Nobody wants him. All right, they're all right-footed. So a left footer would give us that balance. So I would hope that we sign a centre back. I want somebody that's young, talented, but I would not be encouraging the team to splash 50 million euros on a 18-year-old centre back that clearly wants to play for another team. But do we need another centre back? Yes, but I don't think we need a starting centre back, unless he's a left-footed centre-back that is comfortable in playing left-back. And that is why I was always advocated for us to sign David Hancock from Feyenoord, because he's a centre back that plays left back not only for his club but also for his country. That's the kind of signing that we need, because he's mid-20s, not very expensive, and would jump at the opportunity to come to Liverpool. That's the signing we need, not 50 million euros and an 18-year-old player that definitely wants to go somewhere else.
Yeah, I looked at him and I agree. I think he'd suit us really well. He's 27, so it's straight away we won't sign him. It's too old for FSG.
25 million pounds. You can get him for 25 million pounds and pay him 60 grand a week. You'll be happy with that.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. But on a similar line, Pavlovic, I think he played for Serbia. He plays for Salzburg. So under Pep Linders.
How old is he?
I think it was for Serbia. He's 22.
Okay.
And he roamed. I mean, he was in the Euros. He roamed forward at left. He played basically left wing back at one point, and he was so far. He's massive. He built like anything, and he was really good on the ball. He got past players, barged them off the ball. He was really good, and I think he's left-footed. It's perfect, but it's whether he would want to come in and play second fiddle, because Van Dijk's probably got 2 years left at the top, like as a starting centre back. Then his minutes will start dropping. Our defensive situation's a real conundrum for me. Like I said, we've got injury-prone players at the back. Obviously, our defence last year was quite poor, statistically anyway. Our right-back's not nailed down, isn't it? It's Trent and Bradley. They're the two right-backs, end of story. So Gomez is then third-choice right-back. Backs, Robertson, Tsimikas is probably a weaker side. Robertson getting on a bit injury-prone. Tsimikas, average, in my opinion. I like the guy, passionate, but he's not great. And then you got Owen Beck, who's only young. He's going to be assessed, and we'll go from there. So Joe Gomez is immediately like fourth choice centre back. And then I'm thinking, will he want out because it's going to be limited game time? Or do you play him on that left-hand side? Because with the inverted, you said we'll play three at the back. That would make sense. But we want a left footer. And it was reported last we want a left footer. So it's a real conundrum for Slots and Edwards and Hughes to come in and go, right, this is the person we need. But you've got to take all these other bits into account because someone will have to be moved on, surely. Yes, there's a lot of games, but I don't think many of them players, these are top-level internationals, are probably only going to have 10, 15 games at most. It's a tough one. It is a real tough one. Tosin, what do you think about the centre-back situation? And is there anybody that you would personally choose who would be realistic for the club at centre-back?
Yeah, I agree mostly with some of the things that Paul has said. I think I made it clear from the first. I said it before that I felt if we wanted to go for Euro and we wanted it, I think we would have gotten him. But now apparently looks a bit of reach and a bit of it's beyond our means at this point in time. But I think in terms of looking for a centre back, I think we have quality there. Just like Paul mentioned, we need a left-sided centre back, especially now that when you look at the players we have, Joe right-footed, Ibu right-footed as well. Jarrell Kwanzaa most of our guys are right-footed centre backs, and we struggled sometimes with that profile. It was one of the reasons why I was a bit excited when I had the links to Calafiori, and I thought, okay, maybe because he can also play with his left as well. But
have we lost him?
Frozen.
I think we've lost Tosin on that one. Oh, well.
I think, like Paul said, Anko's a good option. I'm trying to look at younger options.
I think he's struggling here. Tosin, if you can hear us, mate, you've kind of gone quiet on our end. So, yeah,
I'm looking.
We'll leave it on that one. We'll leave it there for him. just before, I will end it slightly early because people want to be going and watch the Euros. And just before we do leave, Jay put down in the comments, France or Spain, guys, who are you predicting to go through to the final?
I really want Spain.
Spain. I really also want Spain, but they have gotten a few suspensions from the quarterfinals. I have missed every time I have done a prediction. So, but I say 2-1 France.
2-1 France. Fair. Go on, Paul. I know you want Spain, but what's your prediction?
I really want Spain. France has been just so boring this World Cup. I don't think they deserve to even be where they are right now. So I'm hoping that Spain wins, but I have a sneaky feeling that because France have probably one of the best defense in the tournament. So I could see France winning 1-0. Hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, you're fully right. Yeah, you're fully right on that. Like, they've scored 3 goals this tournament.
Yep.
Scored 3 goals this tournament, and one was 2 own goals. Yeah, none from open play. One was a penalty, and it's like, that's balmy, absolute balmy. So it's going to go one of 2 ways. It's either going to be a 3-0 Spain drubbing, like easy win, or it's going to be, like you said, a really naff 1-0 own goal win to France. I hope Spain get through. I think it'd be a more interesting final. I can't be bothered to see Southgate versus France in the final. It's just going to be terrible. It's going to be 120 minutes of pure silence.
Penalty shootout.
But anyway.
Netherlands, Spain.
Oh my Lord. I won't get into that too much now. But anyway, hey guys, thanks everyone for joining me. Thank you for joining us tonight. There's been a good few topics to talk about. I've ended it slightly early because of the Euros. Big game on in 2 minutes' time. Thanks once again. Like and subscribe. All that good stuff. You never walk alone. Good night from us.